everyone. This is Carmen.
And Moises.
And you listen to YogaBurn. So the title of today's podcast is...
What happened?
is how Carmen came to be.
What happened?
And what happened in your... in the earlier years in my career to teach the way I teach and to, because I get this question all the time, like these questions of why you teach the way you teach and what happened to you, or, what is your background and all of that. So we're going to dive into that today.
We didn't dive.
Yeah. So let's just start.
Everything began.
From the beginning.
In the beginning.
In the beginning. So in the beginning, I started to practice yoga 25 years ago.
Yes.
And I went because I had some aches and pains in my shoulder and in my knee and ankle, because I used to play a lot of tennis, a lot of sports, but mostly tennis and swimming. And so someone recommended that I should do some yoga. And so I went, right? And this was like when we were in Denver, I think, living in Denver. And that first class, I was so bad at it that it really got me hooked. And I started to go more and more and more. At first, I could only do just a few classes a week. And then eventually I was, because my body just couldn't stretch. I had never stretched or held poses like that ever before. And so everything was very challenging. And so I could only do like 2-3 times a week. And then, eventually 4 times, 5 times a week. And pretty soon I started to practice consistently. And I also looked for a teacher training to do because I wanted to become a yoga teacher. I really liked it so much. And so I took a training. And actually I took several trainings because...
I remember for years, because we were in Chicago already.
Yeah.
I remember for years, every month we would go at least twice a month to take some kind of training with somebody that showed up in Chicago. Because Chicago was not, it didn't have like a huge teacher or very important or famous or anything teacher. But it was big enough that all kinds of people came to Chicago.
It's true.
So every other weekend, some studio has somebody that was worth going. And for like 2-3 years at least, every other weekend, you would go take some kind of class.
Yeah.
Some kind of workshops.
Workshops, and then also trainings and travel for trainings, etc. And I got really deep into that. I really enjoyed it. I started more with flow and mostly Ashtanga based, but then probably 2 years or almost 3 years into the practice, I realized I had the same aches, different ones, but I had so many aches and pains and injuries from practicing yoga. Instead of tennis, I was, doing yoga, but I had the same kind of aches and pains. And so I turned into a more therapeutic approach, and I tried all other kinds of styles, more mellow, more relaxing, more like chill and a lot more breath work and yin yoga and all of that. And then eventually I came back to a more active practice, but with the idea of working on sequencing, because at that point I realized that how you sequence your classes, and if I did this pose and this pose before this other pose, it would help me so much. And just eventually it started to cook in my head, okay, this is what I want to focus on. I want to focus on sequencing. I want to focus on making the classes very progressive, so that you can go from one pose to the next, so you feel ready. Because up until that point, every asana class that I went to, what they asked to do, it was either too easy, like the class was just too simple, or it was just so challenging, but there was no clear pathway between point A and point B. Okay, how can you achieve form balance if you've never practiced form balance? I mean, you can do form balance by practicing form balance, but also there are hundreds, if not thousands of things that you can do to actually improve your stability in your shoulders, your strength, your line, I mean, just the proprioception and how you are in space, just like thousands of things that you can work on besides do forearm balance or do handstand or do that pose or do wheel, whatever it is. There's like thousands of things that you can do. So for me, that was not a satisfying enough answer. And so I started to work more on sequencing myself. At that moment, I was also starting to teach. I didn't feel the need to teach, but I felt that I could share that with the world because I really enjoyed it so much that I thought it was such a gift for everybody, that everybody should do yoga. And I think that most people that start to teach yoga, they do that for that reason.
Yeah.
They like it so much that they want to share it with the world, with those that don't know. And so I did the same thing. And in the beginning, I worked in this gym that was more specialized in one-on-one classes. Mm-hmm. From that place, I stayed a little bit, but I already started to have quite the following there. Like I remember going classes at 6 p.m. and 7 p.m. twice a week, and there was a line. I mean, you go to a health club to do weights, right, and to do machines and to do cardio or whatever, but you don't go to a health club to do yoga. So that was very bizarre, that there was just this room in the corner, very small, that could fit like maybe 12 people. It was packed. I mean, packed, almost from the very beginning. And at that moment, I realized, I think I might be a good teacher. Like, I think they like it. They like what I have to offer. And I took, that very seriously, and I try to improve every class and, work on my sequences all the time and help them out with their aches and pains. And after some months, probably a year and a half there, I decided to go on my own for different reasons. Like, the guy in the gym, he was not amicable, and he was just not a good person, like pain wise and all that. And so I decided to go on my own, and I started to have some privates from there, and they asked me to go to their houses, which I did because I knew them. And from there it was just word of mouth, because I remember, like, I never advertised or anything. I started with one person, and then another one, and then another one, and then another one. And pretty soon I had 20 privates a week. And I just couldn't keep up. Like, there were so many of their friends and family and brothers and sisters and cousins that they wanted to take classes with me, that I just literally had only so many slots. Because the problem of working by yourself alone is that you hit your ceiling fairly quickly. Mm-hmm. Like, you can only work so many hours a day without being burned up, right? Yeah. And so my max was 4 privates a day, and that was already a lot. 5-6 days a week, and I had 1 day to rest, sometimes 2 days to rest. And also, it's a very demanding lifestyle because you're going to their houses from place to place, but you also can take very, very little time off. Like, you can only go on vacation maybe a week, and that's it. Because if you go more, let's say if you go for a month,
they will find something else.
They will find not just necessarily another teacher, but they would find another activity to do. They get distracted and they do other things. So if you really want to maintain your classes, you have to be very consistent, which is something that people need to understand when you teach. When you teach in a yoga studio or when you teach private. So it's a must that you have to be there all the time. So I did that for 11 years, which is a very long time. Most people, I would say, that's the whole yoga career, right? And after during those years, I learned a lot about all kinds of injuries, because the majority of those people that took those privates were very injured or very sick, or they have had a lot of surgeries, or they had really different conditions, like I have this condition, and they couldn't go to a normal yoga class, like follow warrior 2, reverse warrior, chaturanga. It was just too fast or too difficult, too much for them. So I learned so much, all kinds of, heart surgeries and brain surgery, and like all kinds of cancers and all kinds of injuries and aches and broken bones and titanium toes and you name it, right? And hip replacements and disc replacements. And that was a very important part of my life, because a lot of the trainings that I took never took into consideration all these injuries. And I had to look for answers, all the time, read books or go into like more specific trainings, or go online, you name it, or just try. Right, with your client, try. And when after those 11 years, when we decided to open the yoga studio, then I felt that I was so prepared. Like I was very ready to tackle on anything. Like I could teach anybody anything, no matter what, because that preparation just had helped me so much. And well, it was actually your fault that we opened a studio. And well, you can talk a little bit about the studio if you want to.
When we opened the studio, we didn't have a yoga style, for example, because this was supposed to be about the yoga style, right? We called it some kind of intense flow yoga thing. I don't remember the name we used. And it took a while because people kept asking, like, what is this style? What is this style? Because they came in and they had never tried anything like that. You had no sun salutation, for example. You had peak poses. That was not a normal thing back then. You had very clear, you start sitting down, then you go and warm up the body, and then you go standing sequence, and then you go to the peak poses, then you go to the wall, and then you go unwind. So it had a clear, very clear structure, but it had not been seen anywhere else. So
yeah,
they were asking, what the heck is this? And we kept saying, just my style. So we had to come up with a name, right? And we came up with the name Sea Yoga, basically, to just label it something and say that Sea Yoga has this structure and has these goals and has this kind of mindset when you do it. But it came from the idea of motivating people. Like you have to keep them on the mat as healthy as possible so they can come tomorrow. So the idea was like the longevity of the practice was a big deal with you from the beginning. Like, how can I make you practice for the next year, X number of years? Because otherwise you'll never get good, because it takes years to get good at this. And if you're not motivated, you don't continue. If you get injured, you don't continue. If you don't feel like every class is good enough, you don't continue. If it's not fun, you don't continue, right? So it was trying to solve the best you could. That was what I saw, at least. Those kind of questions. So the style went around. I mean, it was designed the way it was designed because it made most sense to you to achieve hard poses. But having hard poses was more motivational than anything else.
Yeah.
It was not so much,
not the goal,
achieve this
not the goal
thing
itself.
No, it was more like, let's keep you in a mindset of keep playing, keep going. And that was Sea Yoga, basically, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that was Sea Yoga when we opened the studio.
Yes.
That's what it was back then, exactly right.
So working towards the peak poses, and every class was themed, towards back bends or hip openers or more strengthening or more balancing or more twist or splits. So it had a very clear path of what you want, this avenue of how you want to take your students today, this path, and then tomorrow we're going to do another thing, and the next day another thing, and so on. I have to say that the privates are, one of the good things about teaching privates is that they're very demanding in terms of, if the client doesn't like you, they're not going to call you back. So I always say that you're always not teaching this class, you're selling the next class. So depending on how you make your student feel in that class and how they enjoy that class, then they're going to book you for the next week. And my classes were not cheap. So, I had to really convince every single class that next class is going to be even better. And the next class even better. And the next class even better. And, every client every week, no matter how many years I was with many of them for all those 11 years. And because I rarely lost, or sometimes you lose a client because they just move out of town, or it's not the right fit because they're not very consistent people. But if they had some really raw material that they wanted to improve, they wanted to get better, they never left. And that mindset of this last class needs to be my best class, that is something I translated into teaching yoga classes. And it's an amazing mindset to have. Like, you have to teach the best class you can today, right now. Not one to get by, to just be done today, but just the best class you can possibly teach today, right now, with the material that you have, with the knowledge that you have, with the theme that you're supposed to teach, the best class that you can concoct, come up with in your head, and just cook that in your head. Just make it happen. And that helped me a lot or put me more in the path of success, I would say, to think like that. And when I first opened the studio, we were in Chicago, and we did, a lot of people don't know that, but we did in the beginning we did tango and yoga.
Yes.
Because you wanted to...
Yes. That was the main goal of the space.
To teach
that
tango.
Did not happen exactly like that. But we had milongas. We had like for a couple of years, actually.
Yeah.
Every Tuesday night.
For a long time,
it was
actually.
The place to be.
Yeah, for a long time.
Yeah, it was fun.
So we wanted to do both. And I think when people open their own space, their own yoga studio, it's rare that you stick to whatever idea you have in the beginning. Like, life takes you on a journey, and you just kind of adapt. So all of a sudden you also sell juices, or you just you turn it into a cafe, or you're doing more hot yoga, or you're doing more aerial yoga, or you do corporate classes. I mean, you name it. Who knows? Things that you would never expect to happen, they actually happen. And we opened because we wanted to practice both. And then later on, the tango kind of fell off the train.
Mm-hmm.
And we stuck with yoga,
basically. And
we started to have more teachers. We did a teacher training, and we started to be like more structured. Like, we have to have teachers. We have to create our own teachers in the studio. A few years into the studio, we opened an Instagram account to kind of promote the classes in the studio and promote people to come over, and because it was free also, there's very little free advertisement.
Yeah.
So I said, yes, let's do challenges so that people can know about the studio, about the space. And yes, there were some students that were coming, some new students every week, or some people that were from out of town that they were coming. But mostly what happened was that I got invited to teach at different places. And at first I resisted that because I saw your life as a consultant and how much you had to travel and how exhausting that is and how difficult that is on the body. And I resisted that very much. I would say for at least a year and a half.
A year and more, yeah.
And finally I said, okay, let's just try a few trips. And I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed going to LA or going to London or going to Barcelona to teach, and decided, yes, I want to keep on doing that. In my case, at least, I felt like in my life, I got a little bit burned up. So I love so much to teach privates in the beginning. So much. I learned so much. And then I got burned. So it's always like this curve, and it goes like down, like I don't think I want to do this anymore. And then you open the studio, like you're so excited, you love it, it's amazing, you meet so many people, it's just such a great community. And then it goes like down, like you get burned up. And then so this was like the next wave for me. Like I really love to travel, and I get to see new people, new cultures, but also meet people from all over the world. And then kind of like that. I don't know if I'm on that end.
What happened was the whole pandemic thing, right? In the
So,
middle, that actually gave us a break in terms of traveling, because we also were in Hawaii of all places, right?
So but before I sold the studio.
Exactly.
So before, what happened is that when you try to do so many things at the same time, some things get like you don't
Something
pay.
Suffers,
You
the studio was suffering.
Don't pay that much attention.
Yeah.
So I knew that I had to choose sooner or later. I had to choose between the studio or traveling so much. So either I would travel much less or nothing, or I would continue to travel but either close the studio or sell it or pass it on to somebody else. I don't know.
Yeah.
But both things at the same time, it was just not feasible to do, because both of them the studio was suffering because I was not there and people were expecting to see me there. And so I decided to close the studio, but then one of my teachers said, no, I want to buy it. So he got it.
Exactly.
He bought it, and that's when we moved to Hawaii, because we were just kind of done with society for a while,
they
right?
kicked us out of Chicago, basically.
And I was like, I need a break. The social aspect of owning a yoga studio is sometimes too overwhelming for me. I don't think, even if I opened another yoga studio now, even if I did, which I probably will never do that again, but
It's not gonna happen.
but even if I did, the amount of energy that it requires, not just to maintain the studio open, but the energy that you have to pour towards the students, towards the teachers, towards everyone that comes through the door. It's so demanding. It's a black hole of energy and money and attention and everything. But the energy aspect was something I just couldn't do that anymore. I'm like, I just can't greet every single person, and every day I have to be on my best behavior, just smiling and happy. And I mean, in an ideal world that would happen, but sometimes you are in a bad mood. Sometimes you have
tired.
bad news. Sometimes you're very tired. Sometimes you're grumpy because you couldn't practice, and you still have to show such a smiley face and just like, be so upbeat. I just couldn't do that. I honestly wonder, like, I don't know, like people, stars from Hollywood or something, how they do it. It's just unbelievable. I just couldn't do it, because there's no way you can have all good days back to back. And the amount of stress and energy that the studio requires is so enormous. It's enormous. It's a very big toll to pay. And I at the end, I was really tired. I couldn't do that anymore. And so I said, let's ride the next wave, which would be traveling and going full time and just going. I feel like when we had the signs to move to Hawaii, it was just to have a little break, because we didn't know that. I mean, this was a year and a half before the pandemic. So we didn't know that was going to happen. But for us, at least, it was a blessing in disguise, because we were there and they were like, you cannot get out of your house, you cannot go anywhere. I'm like, I'm fine. I'm okay. I'm going to the beach. I'm coming back. I'm getting my food. Very simple life. I'm teaching online. Everyone was forced to be at home.
You couldn't do anything else in Hawaii.
Yeah, it's like, it did not affect you at all.
Not at all. I mean, that is all you could really do there. Because we were not in Honolulu at all. It was like we were in a big island.
Yeah.
So in the big island, you could go grocery shopping, to the beach,
fishing, hiking, or biking, or work on your garden, on the yard, and just work outside.
And that was a lot of hours.
And that was a lot of hours. Like, Hawaii is very wild in terms of nature, so you have to really work so much. People complain when you do handstands, how much your fingers hurt and your hands hurt. I'm like, you really haven't worked like really with your hands in the garden, because pulling weeds and roots out, you will make your fingers so sore and your hands and your arms so sore from working 3, 4, 5 hours every day, because nature doesn't stop. So you have to, if you go out 3 times a week, nature's working 7 days a week. When we were going away for 2 weeks or 3 weeks to do a trip, to go somewhere, to teach somewhere, when we came back, it was like a jungle.
Yeah, it was.
Right? It had grown so much, everything.
When we left, we were traveling and had the studio. When we came back to the studio, we had a laundry list of things to fix in the studio. When we were in Hawaii and we went traveling, when we came back, it was a laundry list to do in the yard, in the house, and everything.
Yeah.
It was almost the same.
Just like so much stuff to do.
Fortunately, the pandemic hit.
And then we were forced to stay at home and to practice. During the pandemic, I had my revelation of I really want to work on my one-arm handstand. I mean, I had dabbled in the past, and my handstand practice was very strong, I thought, which was like, until you hit the wall of one arm. And I could press, and I could for years, and I could do, I was very comfortable on my hands. And I had taken some one-arm classes and everything, but I was not that serious about it. Something happened during the pandemic that I thought, this is it. This is like a pivotal moment. And whether we come out of here in 2 weeks or 2 months or 2 years, I'm going to start doing that today. And I remember March 2020, okay, we were just reaching out to my handstand teacher. And I remember for years, weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks, like once or twice a week online doing the classes. It was just such a devotion, and we couldn't get out of the house, but we're just so happy there doing the class. And he was in Europe and we were in Hawaii, so it was like 12 hours apart. It was like 9 p.m. and 9 a.m. for us, and just like amazing, right? I remember that so fondly. Like I just enjoyed it so much. I had such little idea of what I was getting into. And I never knew that it was going to be that difficult and that challenging. I thought that with work and consistency, anything can be achieved, but probably, but this takes much more work than I would have anticipated. And then as soon as things opened, then I started to travel again for one-arm trainings, like really full on, and my practice went in another direction because I was getting more sore from stretching so much, and I wanted to add some strengthening component. I mean, my classes have always been some arm balances and inversions, and it's always had some strengthening component, but really much more focusing on that. And mobility training and all that came about around that time. But the pandemic was like this moment that it just changed things quite a bit. And after I had my back injury, I really turned much more into like strengthening training and all that. And we started to travel again, but it was just so challenging
hard from Hawaii
to move back and forth, right, from Hawaii. So eventually we sold our house and we moved back to the mainland. Yes, to the mainland, to Arizona, somewhere warm all year long.
Yes. And
because at that point we knew more what we wanted in terms of climate and place and near a good airport and things like that. Yeah. And so, this tick all the boxes, and so we came to Arizona and we continued to travel all over the world, right?
But so the style kept evolving as well, because
yes,
the injuries probably made you evolve the most of all, like trying to figure out how to fix your rib cage, or how to fix the hip flexor, how to fix the whatever.
Yeah, yes. And also seeing it in others, right? That they had been practicing not for 2 or 5 years, but more like 20, 25, 30 years. And then you see the kind of injuries that people that have practiced yoga for that long, what kind of problems they have. Because yoga, I mean, the asana practice is relatively young. There's not that much history, you know, behind it. We haven't had that many examples, or how many people have been practicing an intense asana practice for 30 years or 40 years. How do their bodies feel today? Because if you do, I don't know, if you go and check runners or bikers or jumpers, that you have a much more accurate data because they have been practicing longer. We have been following that longer, but yogis not so much. And for some time people thought, well, yoga is the answer to everything, right? If I stretch, it's going to be the answer to all my aches and pains. And no discipline is like that. And if you treat yoga as a physical practice, not only meditation or breath work, if this is your main physical practice, then there are some holes that you need to address because the practice does not cover that. You know, it doesn't do any of that. So you need to compensate somehow and find more strengthening, or find some more pulling, or find, you know, things that are not in your usual asana practice. It's like any other sport, because most people treat yoga as a sport. You know, what is your sport? You swim, you run, you do yoga. So if this is your sport, there are things that you do repetitively that are affecting your body. Same as if you swim, then you have the same swimmer will have the same kind of injuries. Or if you run, runner will have always the same kind of group of injuries.
There's two groups of people that do yoga right now, I think. One, you still have, because we still find them, the people that do yoga and they want to do poses, or maybe are teachers, or maybe they just like to do yoga as their own personal practice thing, and that is what they do. And some of them have been practicing for a long time, some of them less time, right? So they are more injured or less, more tense or less, more weak, more strong, more this, more that, right? And then there are others that, I think that they were more of those before now, that they had a sport that they liked, they had an activity that they liked, they climbed, they jump off airplanes with whatever, they lift weights, they do whatever activity they do. Many of them used to come to yoga to remove some of that tension from the body before, right? I don't know how they're doing it right now, and I'm gonna guess that some of them will continue doing that.
Yeah.
Because everything keeps evolving. From your style to how we do yoga, what kind of disciplines, or what is the buzz in the market of what they're doing right now, what is most popular and stuff.
Right.
And we're talking about mobility lately more. And something that we have seen, at least from doing yoga, is that a new discipline comes in and they try to prove themselves, right? And they try to prove themselves by discrediting what was before. Like the latest is, let's do mobility and fix the joints, and flexibility is the, right? And you can hear that from their own mouth saying that. I think that our experience as trying to evolve a yoga style is different from that. It's like, let me get what I know that works from where I'm so far, from the style that I have, from the years of experience, and let me listen to the new person coming in, right? But this whole marketing approach of having to prove yourself better than, I mean, okay, good for you. But
that's always going to happen. It's always going to be,
but I mean,
people.
Is their problem, not ours?
I think maybe people in their 20s, they haven't seen that, but it's like, it's always been like that. The latest kid on the block, they come, and you have to prove yourself, and you have to prove like how amazing you are. And then you're no longer the new kid on the block. You will be, in a couple of years, in 5 years, you will no longer be new. Somebody else will be new.
More new.
Or, it just will be like a revival. Like maybe, I feel like their Pilates and their machine and the reformer is just getting much more revival. When I first started, it was just the biggest hit. And then it kind of plunged down and just like took a really deep dive and just disappeared for a while. And then it's like resurfacing again. And I'm sure it will go back and so on. I mean, it just goes in cycles. So there's just this style or this yoga, and everything that other styles will come in, or other things will come in, or I don't know, contortion will come in. It's like, oh, the latest thing, and then some other thing will come, and it will like, no, breath work is the answer. Like, really, this, no, between breath work is better. This kind of breath work, and then some of this spin on mobility will come, and then some other spin and of yoga, and then some other combination of yoga and breath work, some other combination of aerial and this and that. So it's always like it's shifting constantly into something else that hopefully it addresses better the needs that we have as humans, and as humans that we're no longer, hunters, and we're no longer
gatherers.
Hunter-gatherers. We're just living in houses, etc. Then we need to move our bodies. We need to feel okay in our bodies, and so we have to adapt our practices accordingly to that. It's always been like that. It's always been.
We've seen, for example, something we are realizing, all of us, like all those holes in yoga, right? Because if you think of in the way I liked when we talk about mobility in workshops and stuff, right? We have the joint, muscle, and nervous system, right? And in the muscle, the agonist, antagonist, and stuff like that. We saw that as yogis that we were not working on strength as much as we should have, right? I mean, your style did. Your style made you work on strength from day one, but many styles did not.
Yeah. And it was also it was more revered to be flexible than to be strong. Like, oh, you're so flexible. Oh, it's so true. Amazing. It was just a much more
status.
Status at such a higher reason. Goal when
you can, come out of bed flexible.
Exactly. You can be your genetics, your genes that just provide you being that flexible, and you have zero idea or how you got there and how to teach that, but it doesn't matter. At least building muscle is actually something. The process of building muscle is actually something. It's a slower process that you have to invest time and resources and effort in doing that. So for me, if I see someone that has some muscle in their body, then I see that person has some discipline already to go wake up and go to the gym or go do whatever activity they do. That's already a plus, because already that person has some sort of discipline. It doesn't have to be yoga, or someone that has been doing ballet, or someone that has been doing a discipline that requires you to be just really focused on that for a long time. Those are always going to excel and do much better in a yoga class, always.
But now that you're saying it, it's true that the mindset that we all shared as yogis was flexibility is the most important thing.
Yeah.
Is the most seeked, right?
Yeah.
What everybody wanted to have.
Yeah.
Nobody said, I want to be stronger. The people would say, I want to be more flexible.
A few would say, I want to be stronger, but the majority, and that I think it's shifting more.
Not only status, but also like a fix as a solution to problems.
Yeah.
Maybe that was true, because maybe people came to yoga because they were tense, right? But now, after having somebody, especially women, because you go to a yoga class and 95% is women, they're going to be by nature, as a generalization, which is also always false, but as a generalization, they're going to be more flexible than strong, right? So they will end up having to work on strengthening at some point, and it seems to be now the time that they are realizing that. And some of them are going back to Pilates and complementing
or weights or something.
Like exactly. So instead of you could actually do C yoga. No, for real, right? Those classes kick your ass. And by the strengthening part is built into it. But also we need a change. We humans need a change once in a while, right? So just to
the way I teach, and that's why I never went with any style either, because I just can't teach the same thing or the same sequence for 25 years. I just can't. My brain needs to evolve. I need to evolve. I need to change the way I teach. I need to change my whole spiel. I need to change the way I deliver. I need to change so much. I am in a constant state of searching for the next thing that will make me and my students make them feel better. That's why I don't care if someone is very flexible or not, or very strong or not, because the practice in itself is going to make you get there. But you need to stay on top of it. You need to be consistent, and the practice will take you there. But in a world where you want to achieve something in the next 5 minutes, or like, let me teach you what I know, what I learned in 7 years in 7 seconds. I'm like, there's just no fucking way.
Maybe they have learned
There's
so
no
little.
fucking way. If it was something worth it, there's no fucking way you can actually do that.
But
Like
maybe
the claims,
it's not worth it. I have learned so little.
the
that you can
claims
summarize
now
it in
are
7
just so
seconds.
unbelievable that it's ridiculous. Let me teach you.
If somebody says, "Let me teach you,"
No,
in
I've seen that hundreds of
Let
times.
me teach you in 5 minutes what it has taken me 5 years. I would be so fucking depressed if I can do that.
Yeah,
I mean, really, that is all you have learned. 5 minutes.
yeah.
5 minutes. You have learned 5 minutes
Worth of information.
Jump out
Yeah.
the window. I mean, really, you're not very good at this.
Yeah.
This thing called life, you're not very good at it.
And
You should reassess.
it's like just a tagline to attract people, attract clicks and views and all that. But it just
It's too depressing.
trivializes things so much. So when you say this is gonna take you years to achieve, then people are like, this like
Yeah,
you
prefer
must
the
not
5
be a good
minutes.
teacher
Yes.
because that
This
one tells
can teach me
me
in 5 minutes.
in 5 minutes and in 7 seconds I can learn all that. And you're like,
Yeah.
there's just things that
Have you contemplated
your nervous
that
system,
you are dumb?
your nervous system, your the way your body
They're
moves,
lying to you.
new patterns of movement, new muscle growth, new kind of flexibility, all of that is just going to take so long to achieve, and you in every workshop or in every class that I teach, I just plant some seeds, and it's like, this is what we're going to do today. They just don't expect huge things to happen, but if you're lucky, we're gonna have some aha moments that you'd be wow, this is amazing. This is a very good path for me to follow after I'm done with this class, with this workshop. It's fantastic. Like, I have so much room for growth. I love this. That's what I'm looking for when I'm teaching, usually when I'm teaching workshops. And that's why it shocks me when people say your classes are so difficult, and those have never taken my class, because the ones that have taken my class, they know that my classes are not that difficult. They are challenging.
I have to,
but
because I take your classes, as you know. I have to modify many of the
You
courses.
can modify, and I will always modify things and just
But isn't that
progress,
considered then
regress.
that if you modify them, isn't that considered difficult? If it was easy, I would not have to modify anything. But if it was easy, I don't know how much I would be improving or evolving, right? But
I don't think
Don't you think so? That the fact that I have to modify makes the class be qualified as difficult.
I would say many people in my classes don't have to modify anything. Many people.
True.
I would say over 50% of class don't have to modify things. You are an exception, because maybe
I'm a very average practitioner here.
You're an exception, but you like my
I think I'm
classes.
an
So
exception.
if you are
I'm a very normal average practitioner.
No, I think I have 50% of my class, they will be able to do everything that I propose. And even if you have to modify, you'll have to change a couple of things in the class.
I have to modify like
You're
10%,
able to do
50%.
85% of
True.
class.
That is true.
So
I do them
hands down.
not very beautiful to watch,
Yeah.
but I can do it like straight, yeah.
But people get very caught up, and your brain will also get very caught up in the 5% or 10% or 15% that you're not doing. Instead of acknowledging, I work very hard, and I open all these areas in my body, or I open these new ways of movement, or I challenge my nervous system. Instead of valuing that, you're just focusing on the two things or the one thing that you didn't do during the class.
Yeah.
and that's not a good strategy in general.
But
And you want to challenge. I mean, I want to challenge myself as well.
You want to have things that you cannot do.
Exactly.
That is the point, right?
I mean, I go, whenever I go to do like one-hour trainings, there's a ton of things that I can't do. There's tons of things. I mean, you never want to be in the top 1% of a class. Never.
You're gonna get bored.
But you're gonna get bored, and you're gonna get very little out of your money investment. So no, I want to be average. I also don't want to be ideally in the lower 1% of a class, because it's like, I'm just like, it's too much. But I want to be in the middle, so that I have some things to work on, and wow, it's just, life is just very exciting, and your brain is just very excited about trying to grasp new things and try to understand and how to move different things, like, oh my God. And sometimes it's not really the pose that is difficult, it's how I ask you to execute something, like do it, engage more your thoracic spine, or isolate your lumbar, don't use your lumbar. And we just work on methodology to do that. But that isolation is the challenging part. It's not the pose itself, it's how you do things.
It's a bit the mindset that you walk into the room with. Because you say, I don't do yoga, I'm not flexible.
Yeah.
Right? As if you had to do yoga to do it well.
Yeah.
Because you play a sport, trying to do well in the sport.
Right.
Maybe you like play games with other people or play matches, and you try to do well.
It's
in
like saying,
match
I'm not good at tennis, so I'm not gonna play tennis.
I'm good at golf, so I'm gonna play golf.
Yeah.
So that makes sense, right? But like the whole thing of, I'm not good at yoga, so I don't do yoga. That is not yoga. I mean, I am awful at yoga. That's why I do yoga.
Correct.
So
shocks me. It always shocks me when people say that.
Because we are comparing it to a workout routine. I mean, you go to the gym. The gym is the simplest shit you can think of. You grab a weight and you move it up and down.
I mean, that's right. That's the oversimplification, most hideous thing. But
that's exactly what happens in the gym.
I mean, you can do it with a lot of thinking behind it. But let's just skip it. Go make your point. Make your point. Make your point. Make your point, please. Make your point.
It's simple. That's my point. My point is that
I don't think it's simple. It's simpler than maybe some other things, but I don't think it's simple. But whatever.
It's simple. It's easy to understand.
It's easy to understand. Correct. Yes.
That's what simple means.
Go and lift the weight. But you can lift
grab
the
this
weight
thing and lift it. Then, if you go to a trainer that knows what he's doing, it's gonna say, will your joints have the right ranges of motion and capability to do this movement you want to do in a healthy, safe way? Yes or no? And then it can be more complicated, right?
Right.
But the act in itself is simple to understand.
True.
Thank you. Thank you very much for saying that. It's as simple as that.
It's true.
Now go do scissors.
Correct.
Okay?
Correct.
Exactly. It's not simple. Try to do crow. The first day you did crow.
Awful.
Awful. Fucking awful. Right? So, first of all, it's more complicated to do. You come in and because you don't have enough flexibility in your hip flexors, and you cannot do crow properly.
Yeah.
And you go, oh shit, why can't I just hold my own weight doing that? When I'm strong enough in my arms, I can see that. But somewhere else in the body is not giving you enough degrees of whatever, compression or expression, and you cannot do it, right? So it's more complicated. But then we have the mindset of, we do these things as entertainment, as a personal thing, to do them well. When you want to do yoga because you do it awful. Because yoga, doing it awful, is when it's going to give you the most back.
Agreed.
The most awful you are in the class,
the
more happy you will be when you finish.
Agreed.
You
get so much more.
Oh my God, everything hurt. Everything I did like 30% of what everybody else was doing.
Yes.
I feel awesome.
Yeah.
Because you stretched everything everywhere.
Agreed.
You try. Your shoulders are dead from trying, pressing, pushing thing. Your legs are like, what the fuck? Like, that's what that mindset, that aha realization has not hit the market yet. 95% should be men. I can tell you because I have a man's body, and everything, the most thing that you think that I need most is stretching. I mean, my body most naturally will gain strength. Or that is what I have seen in my body, at least. It is easier for me to gain strength than to gain flexibility.
Yeah.
So.
But for example, I think in my case that also applies. Like for me, I think it's easier to gain strength than flexibility. I don't know if because I'm more at a type A kind of person and just very intense, and I accumulate that tension, and that tension gives me strength somehow. But I like to practice because of that, because I feel such a sense of relief and release, because when I'm done, I'm like, oh, right? It feels
Exactly.
It feels amazing afterwards.
The nervous system has.
Yes.
That's exactly the verb. It's to.
Yes, it does.
I don't get. I mean, you don't get that from running. Running, you get another mindset, like.
It's a different kind of rush.
It's a different kind of rush.
Right.
So, but no other discipline that I have seen. Maybe there are, but I haven't tried them. Because I did martial arts, for example, for a while,
right.
And for a long time actually.
And I did a lot of swimming, and I did play tennis, and swimming is amazing, and you just it just challenges your cardiovascular system and your breath and everything. But there's this sense of release when you're doing yoga that I also haven't found it anywhere else. So precisely because someone says I am very stiff, or I'm very weak, or I'm very inflexible, or I am just fill the blank. That's precisely the reason why you should practice.
Because you do it awful.
If you're very good at yoga, you're gonna get like 10% of the benefits.
Because if you are very good at yoga, you will try to do the yoga poses. You'll try to grab the foot. You'll try to do, and the chances of you injuring yourself are higher.
And
probably.
Also, those, for me, in my experience, those people don't enjoy my class that much, because I like to give explanation on, this is how you can do with your scapulas, and this is what you can do when you do rotating the shoulder. And those people that are more naturally flexible or naturally strong, they just want to go for it.
They don't need to think about it.
They don't need to think about it. They don't want to analyze it either. It's like, what do I do with my scapula? I don't care. Like, I really don't care, because it doesn't hurt me. It doesn't bother me. So why would I have to listen to you for 5 minutes talking about the scapulas and the humerus or something, right? Yeah. Or why would I have to listen to this thoracic movement, or when I can already bend really well and it doesn't bother me, it doesn't hurt. So it's really hard to sell that idea on someone that does not have any injuries or aches or pains or anything. Like, kind of analyze it a little bit more, see how your body is moving, analyze your own patterns of movement, and just see how it's going, and your own range of motion, and just understand what's going on. Like, listen and read your body a little bit better. That's really hard to sell that idea unless you have injuries, unless you feel very stuck in your practice, unless you feel very stiff or very weak, or you're a little bit older. And that kind of crowd is the one that's like, oh my God, their class it really made such a big impact in my body. It's amazing, like how much more well taken care of it feels, and it's amazing. That's why it upsets me a little bit, and I wanted to do this podcast, because people are like, your classes are so hard, or your poses and your posts are so difficult. And I'm like, that's like 1% of what you're going to do in the class, and there's just so much more that it has so much more meaning that just one instant. But you have to also promote your classes somehow and stand out and just make people look at the photo or look at the video somehow. But that's always the dilemma that I find myself, like, should I make just like a little more accessible things or more shocking things? It's always that balance that you have to walk. But if they try it, they're gonna love it for sure. So hopefully this podcast has given some light on the topic.
Just to make sure that we make a sale.
Because it's already been quite a while.
Okay, perfect. Then last thought. Like 50% of the people in the class have an awful time during the class when we do workshops.
No.
And they're the ones that love it the most.
I don't know.
50%.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I completely disagree.
Disagree 100%.
I completely disagree with that statement.
Singapore, how was it?
I think they were fine. There were some moments that they were struggling, but I think because it's very different to teach the class than to assist in the class.
Sure.
And when you're teaching the class, there's an energy that goes on between the teacher and the students, and it feels like you're just kind of pulling. The energy that you have is pulling them you're taking them in the direction that you want, and they pull back like I don't want to do it, I don't want to go. And so sometimes it feels like I'm pulling 4 sacks of cement of 50 pounds each, and sometimes it feels like I'm pulling like half a pound, and it's a do-do-do-do-do, and I'm just taking you everywhere so easily. But if there's a lot of resistance back, I always hold back, and I always follow that, because I can't move. I can't move forward. I can't move in the direction that they want me to, that I would like to move. So I have to stay with them, and I have to meet them where they're at. That's why I'm telling you that I don't think it was that bad. I didn't feel like that class, we didn't move a lot or very fast, but we moved in the right direction. And sometimes, and when I was teaching, for example, privates, there were times that I was teaching this nothing. This person can give me nothing, absolutely nothing. Like, can barely sit cross-legged on the floor. So what do I do? And those cases that I saw in my first 11 years, I almost have never encountered that in real life, like in a group class. And that's why I always ask more from you, because you're healthy, you can do it, you can move your body. And those people could not. You have a luxury that you can move your body. Those people couldn't move their bodies. And if I can take you places, I'm going to try to take you places, because then you're going to thank me. Right now, you'll be like, oh, this is just so challenging, or oh, I don't know if I can do it. But when we're done, you're going to love it. I know this because it happens to every single human I've ever taught. It's always like that. And it would be easier for me
because
to just give up.
More than you thought.
It's easier for me to just give up and say, nothing. Like, it's fine. Like, just do whatever. Or do what you can. If it's in your practice, do what you can. That's the easy way out. But I believe in you. I think you can do it. I think we can do it together. I think I can take you there. I think we can give it a shot. We can try. And if not, we're going to do 10% of the post today. Just 10%, 5%, 1%. We're going to do some of that, and you will feel so accomplished. You will feel so happy that is the happiness I need for you to come back next time. Because as you said in the beginning, it's all about consistency and making your students come back to the studio or come back to take your classes and so on. So they can improve. And it can really stay in their bodies. Like, you practice yoga for a week, it's not going to make a single dent. But if you practice yoga for several years, then it's really going to make a big change in your life. So then I need you to be a little bit hooked. And so I know that is going to make you feel happier, and it's going to make you feel like, yes, I love it. I want to come back for more. It was tough, but I loved it. And then pretty soon you get used to that sensation of being a little challenging, a little tough, and you're almost looking forward to it. You're like, ooh, just see what happens. Ooh. And then, ooh. So you kind of look for that. You love that. You love that rush and that sensation. So that's why when you said in Singapore, no, everybody was, they were having, some of them, a little bit harder time, but I never felt that they were stuck and I couldn't keep on pulling them. They were just going at their own pace, but they could do it. They could. I have faith. I have faith in them. So anyway, that was it. That was my take on it.
Perfect.
So I hope you guys enjoyed it. And yeah, if you have any questions, let us know. And you listen to Carmen.
And Moises.
And this was YogaBurn.
YogaBurn.
And we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.